My daughter Nicole's face went completely white as the lawyer read the words. And to my daughter Nicole, I leave the sum of $5,000. The remainder of my estate, including my home and all investments totaling approximately $2 million, I bequeath to the Golden Years Foundation, a charity supporting elderly care and dignity. Nicole's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Her husband Gary actually stood up, knocking his chair backward. "What? No! That house is ours! There must be a mistake." Mr. Chen, my lawyer, calmly placed the will on the table in front of them. "There is no mistake. Helen signed this document 3 months before her passing. She was of sound mind and body. I have the medical documentation to prove it." I wish I could have seen their faces. I really do. My name was Helen Morrison. Was, because I died 3 months ago at 75 years old. And this is the story of how I disinherited my only daughter with a single signature. But let me back up, because this story doesn't start with a will. It starts with a week that changed everything. A week I spent in my daughter's home, being treated like I was already dead. 6 months before I died, I was living comfortably in my paid-off home in Florida. My late husband had left me well provided for. The house, investments, savings. All told, I had about $2 million in assets. Not wealthy by billionaire standards, but comfortable, secure, more than enough for my golden years. I had a will, of course, a simple one. Everything to Nicole, my only child. It seemed obvious, natural, what mothers do. Nicole knew about the inheritance. She and Gary had known for years. I'd told them when I'd had the will drafted, thought it would give them peace of mind, knowing I'd taken care of everything. Instead, it had turned me into something else in their eyes. Not a mother, not a person, an ATM, a retirement account, an investment that would pay out when I finally died. I didn't see it at first, or maybe I didn't want to see it. But then came the invitation. "Mom, why don't you come stay with us for a week? We'd love to spend quality time with you." Quality time. That should have been my first warning. I was excited, honestly. Nicole lived 2 hours away and we didn't see each other often. A whole week together? I could catch up with my daughter, get to know Gary better, just be a family. I packed my worn suitcase, I'd had it for 20 years, still perfectly good, with comfortable clothes, nothing fancy, just my usual casual style. When I arrived, their smiles were wide, too wide. The kind of smiles that don't quite reach the eyes. "Mom, welcome. Come in, come in." Their house was beautiful, modern, expensive, everything gleaming and perfect and cold. "Wow, you two have done well for yourselves," I said, genuinely impressed. "We try," Nicole said, "though things are tight right now. You know how it is." I didn't know how it was, but I would learn. That first evening was pleasant enough. We had dinner, expensive wine that I barely touched, gourmet food I couldn't pronounce. They asked about my health, my hobbies, my life. But there was something underneath, something I couldn't quite name. A tension, an expectation. That night I heard them talking in the kitchen. Their voices carried through the thin walls. "How long is she staying?" Gary asked. "A week, I told you that." A week of her shuffling around, not knowing how anything works. God, did you see her trying to use the coffee machine? Like watching a caveman discover fire. Nicole laughed. Actually laughed. "Be nice. She's old. She can't help it." Old. Like it was a disease. Like I was already mentally incompetent. I lay in their guest room, which felt more like a storage room with a bed shoved in, and I felt something cold settle in my chest. This was going to be a very long week. The next morning, Nicole criticized my outfit. "Mom, are you really wearing that? It's so dated. Don't you want to look nice?" I was wearing comfortable pants and a sweater, the same kind of clothes I'd worn for decades. "I'm comfortable," I said. "But you're at our house. People might see you." People might see me, like I was an embarrassment, a stain on their perfect modern life. Then came the coffee incident. I tried to make myself a cup using their fancy machine. I pressed buttons, pulled levers, made a mess. Nicole sighed dramatically. "Mom, just go sit down. I'll make it. You're making a disaster." I'm sorry, honey. I'm just not familiar with, clearly, that word, that one word, dripping with condescension. Over the next few days, it got worse. Every interaction was laced with impatience, with barely concealed frustration. When I offered to help with dishes, Nicole snapped, "Mom, just sit down. Your hands will make everything dirty." When I suggested we watch a show I liked, Gary said, "Maybe something from this century, Helen?" When I mentioned a friend from my bridge club, Nicole said, "Mom, you really should get out more. Do something meaningful with your time." Meaningful. Like my entire life was meaningless to her. But the worst part? The money talk. Gary kept bringing up my investments, my finances, suggesting I needed help managing them. "Helen, you should really let us handle some of this for you. Investment strategies are complex. At your age, it's hard to keep track of everything." "I'm managing fine," I said. "But are you? Have you reviewed your portfolio recently? Let me take a look." "Gary, I said I'm fine." His smile stayed on his face, but something dark flashed in his eyes. "Just trying to help. Families should help each other, right?" Right. Family. That night, the fifth night, I heard the conversation that changed everything. I couldn't sleep. Too much on my mind. Too much hurt piling up. So I lay there in the darkness and I heard their voices through the wall. "I can't take another day of this," Nicole said. "She's driving me insane. The way she dresses, the way she talks. She's so old." "Just 2 more days," Gary soothed. "Then she goes back to Florida and we don't have to deal with her until she dies and we get the house." Silence. "Nicole." "What? We both know that's why we're putting up with this. $2 million, Gary. That house, those investments, it's all coming to us." "Did she sign those transfer documents I gave her?" "Not yet. I'll try again tomorrow. Once she signs, we can start moving money around before she dies. Make sure it's protected." My heart stopped. Transfer documents? Moving money around? They weren't just waiting for me to die. They were trying to take my money while I was still alive. "What if she doesn't sign?" Gary asked. "She will. She trusts me. I'm her daughter." Her daughter. The words tasted like poison. I lay there in that dark room listening to them plot, and something inside me broke. Not my heart. That had broken days ago. My illusions, my denial, my desperate hope that my daughter still loved me. In that moment, I realized the truth. Nicole didn't see me as her mother. She saw me as an obstacle between her and my money. And I decided right then what I was going to do about it. The next morning, I woke up early, packed my bag, told them I wasn't feeling well and needed to go home. "Oh, Mom, are you okay?" Nicole's concern was so fake it was almost funny. "I'm fine, just need my own bed." They didn't try to stop me. I could see the relief on their faces. As I drove away from their perfect house, I wasn't crying. I was planning. Planning my final act, my last signature, the one that would teach them the most expensive lesson of their lives. I drove straight from Nicole's house to Mr. Chen's office. Didn't even go home first. Couldn't wait. Couldn't risk losing my nerve. Mr. Chen had been my lawyer for 15 years, handled my husband's estate after he passed, drew up my original will. He knew me, trusted me. More importantly, I trusted him. "Helen!" His surprise was genuine when I walked in without an appointment. "Is everything all right?" "No," I said simply. "I need to change my will. Today. Right now." He studied my face for a long moment. "Come into my office. Tell me what happened." I told him everything. The week at Nicole's house, the condescension, the barely concealed impatience, the conversation I'd overheard about them waiting for me to die so they could inherit. And these transfer documents Gary mentioned? Mr. Chen's face was serious. He gave me papers to sign, said it was about modernizing my investments, making things easier to manage when I got older. I pulled the folded papers from my purse. I didn't sign them. Something felt wrong. Mr. Chen took the papers, his expression darkening as he read. "Helen, these would have given them power of attorney over your finances. They could have moved your money anywhere, done anything with your assets. While I'm still alive? While you're still alive." The room went cold. "They weren't just waiting for you to die," he continued quietly. "They were planning to take control before that. legally strip you of access to your own money. I felt sick. My own daughter, planning to make me financially helpless. I want her out of the will, I said, completely out. Helen, that's a serious decision. Maybe take a few days to think about. I've had 75 years to think about what kind of relationship I want with my daughter. This past week showed me what kind of relationship she wants with me. I'm done thinking. He nodded slowly. What do you want to do with your estate? I'd been considering this during the drive. $5,000 to Nicole, enough to show I didn't forget her, not enough to be worth the disrespect. And the rest? Is there a charity that helps elderly people? People who are treated the way I was treated? The Golden Years Foundation. They provide support and advocacy for seniors facing abuse, neglect, and exploitation. Excellent organization. I serve on their board. Then that's where my estate goes. Every penny except Nicole's $5,000. You're sure? Mr. Chen, I have never been more sure of anything in my life. He pulled out fresh paperwork. We spent the next 3 hours drafting my new will. Every detail, every provision, making it ironclad. The language was formal, but one line stood out. Due to a fundamental breach of trust and lack of respect demonstrated toward me in my final years, I have chosen to direct my estate toward causes that honor the dignity of all elderly persons. I signed it. Mr. Chen had his assistant and paralegal witness it. Everything legal. Everything documented. Helen, I need to ask, are you sure you're making this decision with a clear mind? Nicole might try to challenge this, claim you were unduly influenced or mentally incompetent. I'm 75, not senile. I want a doctor's evaluation, today. Full cognitive assessment. Let's remove any doubt. He made a call. Within 2 hours, I was at a doctor's office, taking memory tests, answering questions, demonstrating that my mind was sharp as ever. The doctor's report was clear. Patient demonstrates full cognitive capacity, excellent memory, and sound judgment. No evidence of dementia, undue influence, or impairment. Mr. Chen attached it to my will. This is bulletproof now. When the time comes, Nicole won't be able to challenge it. Good. I went home that night exhausted, emotionally drained, but also free, like I'd cut a rope that had been strangling me. The next morning, Nicole called. Mom, you left so suddenly. Are you feeling better? Her voice was saccharine, fake concern dripping through the phone. I'm fine, honey. I was thinking, those investment papers Gary gave you? Did you have a chance to look them over? It would really be better if we could help you manage. I'm not signing them. Nicole. Pause. What? Why not? I'm managing my own finances just fine. But Mom, at your age, you really should let someone younger handle. I said no. Her tone changed, went cold. Fine, do what you want. Don't come crying to us when you make mistakes. She hung up. That was the last conversation I had with my daughter. She never called again, never visited. 3 months later, I died peacefully in my sleep. And that brought us back to Mr. Chen's office, to Nicole and Gary sitting there expecting to inherit $2 million, to the moment their world imploded. Mr. Chen told me later what happened after he finished reading the will. Nicole sat there in shock, just frozen, staring at the papers like she could change the words by looking at them hard enough. Gary started yelling. This is bullshit. She was senile. She didn't know what she was doing. Mr. Chen calmly slid the doctor's evaluation across the desk. Helen was evaluated by a licensed physician 3 months ago. Full cognitive assessment. She was completely competent. Then you influenced her. You talked her into this. I have witnesses present during the signing. Her decisions were entirely her own. This will is legal, binding, and uncontestable. Nicole finally found her voice. But why? What did we do? Mr. Chen looked at her with something like pity. Your mother left a letter. She wanted me to read it to you if you asked that question. He pulled out an envelope. My handwriting on the front, my final words to my daughter. Should I read it? He asked. Nicole nodded, tears starting to fall. Mr. Chen opened the envelope and began to read my letter. The letter I'd written the day I changed my will. And in that letter, I told them exactly what they'd done wrong. Mr. Chen adjusted his glasses and began reading my letter. His voice was steady, professional, but I'd written words that cut deep. My dear Nicole, if you're hearing this letter, it means I've passed, and you're wondering why you didn't inherit what you expected. Let me tell you a story about a week in May. I came to your house excited, genuinely excited to spend time with you, to be your mother, not just a name in your phone. I packed my old suitcase, yes, the one you probably would have been embarrassed by, and I drove to you with hope in my heart. By the second day, that hope was dying. Do you remember the coffee machine incident? You sighed at me like I was a burden, like my inability to work your fancy machine was a character flaw, rather than simple unfamiliarity. You made me feel stupid, Nicole. Small. Useless. Do you remember telling me my clothes were dated? They were comfortable. They were mine. But to you, they were an embarrassment. Something that might reflect poorly on you if people saw. Mr. Chen paused, glancing at Nicole. Her face was pale, tears streaming down her cheeks. Should I continue? He asked. Yes, she whispered. All of it. He kept reading. You criticized everything. My appearance, my interests, my age. As if being 75 was something I should apologize for. As if growing old was a failure on my part. But Nicole, that wasn't the worst of it. The worst was the night I heard you and Gary talking. The night you said you couldn't wait for me to die so you could have my house. The night you discussed me like I was already dead, already gone. Just an inconvenient obstacle between you and my money. She's driving me insane, you said. The way she dresses, the way she talks. She's so old. Old. Like it was a disease. Like I was less than human because I'd had the audacity to survive 75 years on this earth. Do you know what that felt like? Hearing my only child, the baby I carried, the child I raised, the daughter I loved more than my own life, talk about me like I was already a corpse? It broke something in me, not my heart. That was already breaking with every condescending word, every impatient sigh, every moment you made it clear I was a burden. It broke my illusions, my denial, my desperate hope that somewhere under your ambition and your greed, you still loved me. You didn't love me, Nicole. You loved my money. And Gary? He tried to trick me into signing away power of attorney. Those investment documents he kept pushing? Mr. Chen explained what they really were. You were going to take control of my finances while I was still alive, strip me of my independence, make me financially helpless, all while pretending to help me. Nicole let out a sob. Gary had gone completely silent, his face gray. There's more, Mr. Chen said gently. I know, Nicole whispered. Keep reading. So I made a choice. I decided that if you only valued me for my money, you wouldn't get it. The $5,000 I left you? That's not generosity, that's proof. Proof that I didn't forget you. Proof that I was of sound mind when I disinherited you. Proof that this was a conscious decision, not an oversight. The rest of my estate, my house, my investments, everything I worked for, is going to the Golden Years Foundation. Do you know what they do, Nicole? They help elderly people who are being abused, neglected, and exploited by their own families. They help people like me. I want my money to protect other 75-year-old women whose children see them as ATMs. I want it to support people who are treated like burdens simply because they've grown old. I want it to do good in the world, since giving it to you clearly wouldn't. You might be angry right now. You might think I'm being cruel. But ask yourself honestly, did you ever see me as a person during that week? Or did you just see an old woman standing between you and an inheritance? Did you ever ask about my life, my feelings, my dreams and fears and hopes? Or did you just calculate how much longer you'd have to pretend to care? I think you know the answer. I don't hate you, Nicole. I'm just deeply, profoundly disappointed. I raised you to be better than this. Somewhere along the way, you chose money over love, success over compassion, appearance over substance. That's not the daughter I wanted, but it's the daughter you chose to become. I hope, and I genuinely mean this, that losing this inheritance teaches you something. I hope it makes you look at yourself and ask hard questions. I hope it changes you. Because if it doesn't, you'll spend the rest of your life treating people the way you treated me, using them, discarding them, waiting for them to die so you can profit from their loss. That's a hollow way to live, sweetheart. My final wish for you isn't wealth, it's wisdom. Wisdom to understand that people's value doesn't decrease with age, that respect should be given freely, not earned through death, that love, real love, doesn't come with a price tag. I forgive you, Nicole, but I don't trust you, and I won't reward you. This is my final signature, the last legal document with my name on it, and I'm using it to say, I deserve better. All elderly people deserve better. May you learn that lesson before it's too late for you, too. With love and disappointment, your mother, Helen Morrison. The office was silent when Mr. Chen finished reading. He carefully folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope. She left this for you, he said, sliding it across the desk to Nicole. You can keep it. Nicole took it with shaking hands. Her face was destroyed, makeup running, eyes red, expression shattered. I didn't, she started. I didn't mean what? Mr. Chen's voice was gentle but firm. Didn't mean for her to hear you? Or didn't mean the things you said? She couldn't answer. Gary finally spoke. Can we contest this? You can try. You'll lose. Helen was meticulous. The will is legal. The documentation is thorough. And she was indisputably competent. You'll spend tens of thousands in legal fees fighting something you cannot win. So that's it? Gary's voice cracked. $2 million just gone? It's not gone, Mr. Chen corrected. It's going to help people who need it. People who Helen felt deserved it more than you did. The words hung in the air like a verdict. And it was a verdict. My final judgment on the people who'd seen me as an investment rather than a human being. I wish I could have seen their faces. But maybe it's better that I didn't. Maybe it's better that my last memory isn't of their grief and regret. Maybe it's better that I died knowing I'd done the right thing, even if it hurt. Let me take you back to that week. The week that changed my will and ended Nicole's inheritance. Because you need to understand, it wasn't one big thing. It was 1,000 small cuts. Death by 1,000 indignities. Day one was actually okay. Surface level okay. They picked me up, smiled, helped with my bag. Nicole showed me to the guest room, which I later realized was basically their storage room with a bed crammed in. We cleared out some space for you, Mom, she said brightly. Cleared out some space. Not we prepared the guest room. Not we're so happy you're here. Just cleared out some space. Like I was boxes that needed storing. But I told myself I was being sensitive, reading too much into things. Day two, the cracks started showing. I woke up early, old habits, and tried to make coffee. Their machine was one of those expensive, complicated ones with buttons and levers and a screen. I pressed things. Nothing happened. Pressed more things. Water started leaking. Nicole rushed in. Mom, what are you doing? Just trying to make coffee. You're flooding the counter. God, just go sit down. I'll make it. I'm sorry, honey. I'm not familiar with... Obviously. She said it under her breath, but I heard it. Obviously. Like I was stupid. Like being unfamiliar with a machine made me incompetent. I sat at their pristine dining table, glass and chrome, cold to the touch, and felt small. Gary came down in his expensive pajamas. Morning, Helen. Sleep well? Very well, thank you. Good, good. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about something. Your investments. Have you looked at your portfolio recently? Not recently, but my financial advisor sends quarterly reports. Right, but are you actually understanding them? These things are complicated. Market fluctuations, diversification strategies. At your age, it's a lot to track. At your age, there it was again. I'm managing fine, Gary. Sure, but what if you let me take a look, just as a second pair of eyes? I work in finance, you know. I could make sure you're maximizing returns. That's kind of you, but just think about it. Family should help family, right? He smiled, but his eyes were calculating, assessing, like I was a business opportunity, not his mother-in-law. Day 3 brought the clothing incident. I came down for breakfast wearing my usual, comfortable slacks, a nice blouse, a cardigan. Clothes I'd worn for years, clean, pressed, perfectly appropriate. Nicole took one look and her nose wrinkled. "Mom, are you really wearing that? What's wrong with it?" "It's just so dated. Don't you want to look nice? We might go out later." "I am nice. This is comfortable. But it's from like the 80s. Don't you want something more modern?" "Nicole, I'm 75 years old. I wear what's comfortable. At least let me take you shopping, get you some updated pieces." "I don't need new clothes." She sighed, that long, dramatic sigh that teenagers use when their parents are embarrassing them. Except I wasn't her teenager. I was her mother. And I was wearing perfectly normal clothes. But I felt ashamed anyway. That's what she did, made me feel ashamed of being myself. Day 4 was the dishes. We'd finished lunch. I stood up to help clear the table, something I'd done my entire adult life, being helpful, contributing. Nicole physically blocked me. "Mom, no, just sit down. I can help with dishes. Your hands will make everything dirty." I stopped, stared at her. "What?" "You know what I mean. Your hand cream. It leaves residue. Just let me handle it." My hand cream. The lotion I used because my elderly hands got dry. That was now a reason I couldn't help. I sat back down. Gary was watching TV, not paying attention. Nicole moved around the kitchen, clattering dishes, making it clear she was handling everything because I couldn't be trusted. I felt like crying, but I didn't. I just sat there, feeling useless. That evening, they had friends over, young professional couples, talking about their careers, their vacations, their expensive hobbies. Nobody asked me a single question, not one. They talked around me, over me, like I wasn't there. When I tried to contribute, mentioned a book I'd read, a news story I'd found interesting, the conversation just stopped. Awkward silence. Then someone changed the subject. I was furniture, decoration, an old woman taking up space in the corner. Day 5, the conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. I went to bed early, claimed I was tired. Really, I just wanted to escape. Escape the judgment, the condescension, the feeling of being barely tolerated in my daughter's home. I lay in that uncomfortable guest bed, too soft, hurt my back, and tried to sleep. That's when I heard them. Nicole and Gary in the living room, voices carrying through the walls. "How much longer?" Gary asked. 2 more days, then she goes back to Florida." Thank God. I can't take much more. The way she just exists here, taking up space, not understanding anything. "I know. Did you see her try to use the TV remote? Took her 5 minutes to find the right button." They laughed. Actually laughed at me. "At least we're building goodwill," Gary said, playing the devoted daughter. "It's exhausting, but worth it. Once she dies..." "Don't say that." "Why not? We're both thinking it. Once she dies, we get everything. The house, the investments. $2 million, Gary. We can pay off all our debt. Start fresh." My heart stopped. "Did she sign those papers yet?" Gary asked. "Not yet. I'll push harder tomorrow. Once we have power of attorney, we can start moving money around. Protect it before she dies. Make sure it goes to us." "What if she won't sign?" "She will. She trusts me. I'm her daughter." The way she said it, cold, calculating. Like being my daughter was a strategy, not a relationship. I lay there in the dark, my heart breaking into pieces, and I finally understood. They didn't love me. They were tolerating me, counting down days, waiting for me to die so they could cash out. I was an investment, a $2 million life insurance policy walking around on old legs. That's all I'd ever been to them. Day 6, I left, made up an excuse about not feeling well. Nicole and Gary didn't even try to convince me to stay. I could see the relief on their faces. "Feel better, Mom," Nicole called as I pulled away. Feel better. Like I was sick with something temporary, not dying from heartbreak. I drove straight to Mr. Chen's office, and I changed my will. Because if all they wanted was my money, they weren't going to get it. Not 1 penny. After meeting with Mr. Chen, I knew I needed to protect my decision, make it bulletproof, which meant proving beyond any doubt that I was mentally competent. Dr. Sarah Williams specialized in geriatric cognitive assessments. Mr. Chen had called ahead, explained the situation. She fit me in that same afternoon. Mrs. Morrison, I understand you're here to document your cognitive capacity, she said kindly. This is for legal purposes? I'm changing my will. I want to make sure nobody can claim I was senile or manipulated. I see. Well, let's go through a comprehensive evaluation. It'll take about 2 hours. 2 hours of tests, memory tests, pattern recognition, problem solving, following complex instructions, recalling lists of words, drawing shapes from memory, math problems, current events questions. It was exhausting, but I aced it, every single section. Dr. Williams reviewed my results, nodding. Mrs. Morrison, your cognitive function is excellent. Better than many people half your age, actually. Your memory is sharp, your reasoning is sound. You show no signs of dementia, confusion, or impairment. Can you document that officially? Absolutely. I'll write a detailed report. But may I ask, why are you so concerned someone might challenge your mental capacity? I told her the whole story. Nicole, Gary, the week of condescension, the overheard conversation. Her expression changed as I talked, got harder, angrier. Mrs. Morrison, what you're describing is called financial elder abuse. It's shockingly common. Family members viewing elderly relatives as financial resources rather than people. Is that really what this is? Abuse? Emotional abuse? Absolutely. And attempted financial exploitation. Those documents they wanted you to sign? If you'd given them power of attorney, they could have drained your accounts, put you in a position where you'd have to beg them for money to buy groceries. The thought made me sick. You did the right thing, she continued, protecting yourself, changing your will. You're demonstrating excellent judgment, which is exactly what my report will say. She wrote everything up, 5 pages, single-spaced. Medical terminology I barely understood, but the conclusion was clear. Patient demonstrates full cognitive capacity, excellent executive function, intact memory, and sound judgment. She is fully capable of making informed legal and financial decisions. There is no evidence of dementia, undue influence, coercion, or impairment of any kind. I took that report back to Mr. Chen. He attached it to my will, along with the witness statements, along with everything else. This is one of the most thoroughly documented wills I've ever prepared, he said. Nicole can't challenge this. She has no ground to stand on. Good. Helen, I have to ask, are you absolutely certain? This is permanent. Once you're gone, there's no taking it back. I'm certain. What if Nicole apologizes? What if she realizes what she's done and tries to make amends? I thought about that. Really thought about it. Then she'll learn a valuable lesson about apologizing before it's too late, not after. He nodded. Fair enough. I went home that day feeling clean, like I'd washed off something toxic, like I'd finally stood up for myself after years of shrinking. Nicole called me twice that week, both times about the power of attorney documents. Mom, Gary really thinks you should sign these. It would make things so much easier. I already told you I'm not signing them. But why? Don't you trust us? No, Nicole, I don't. Silence. Then, that's really hurtful, Mom. Is it? More hurtful than hearing your daughter say she can't wait for you to die so she can have your house? More silence. Longer this time. You heard that? Her voice was small. Every word. Mom, I didn't mean... Yes, you did. You meant every word. And now you have to live with the consequences. What consequences? You'll find out when I'm gone. I hung up. She didn't call back. 3 months later, I died. Heart attack. Quick, painless. Probably the kindest way to go. I'd lived a good life. Not perfect, but good. I'd loved, I'd worked, I'd raised a daughter. I'd been a wife, a friend, a person with value beyond my bank account. And in my final act, I'd proven that value couldn't be measured in dollars. I'd proven that respect matters more than inheritance. I'd proven that dignity has a price, and Nicole couldn't afford to pay it. Mr. Chen told me later, well, he told me before I died, during one of our check-ins, what would happen at the will reading. They'll be expecting everything, he said. They'll walk in confident, probably already spending the money in their heads. And then I'll read them your will. Watch their faces fall. Watch them realize what they lost. Will they fight it? They'll try. They'll fail. The documentation is too thorough. The will is ironclad. What about my letter? Will you read it? Only if they ask why, if they genuinely seem confused about what they did wrong. They will be confused. That's the saddest part. They genuinely won't understand. Then the letter will help them understand. Eventually. Eventually. That was the thing about consequences. They didn't always teach lessons immediately. Sometimes it took years for people to truly grasp what they'd lost. But they would understand. Someday. When Nicole was my age. When she was 75, looking back on her life, realizing she'd traded her relationship with her mother for money she never received. When she understood that some things, love, respect, dignity, can't be bought back once they're sold. That's when my lesson would finally land. I only hoped it wouldn't be too late for her to learn from it. Let me tell you about the Golden Years Foundation. Because they're getting $2 million, and you should know why they deserve it more than my daughter. I discovered them by accident. 6 months before the incident with Nicole, I'd seen a news story about an elderly man whose children had stolen his entire retirement fund, left him penniless. He'd ended up homeless at 78 years old. The story broke my heart. But what stuck with me was the organization that helped him, the Golden Years Foundation. I looked them up. Their mission was simple: protect elderly people from exploitation, abuse, and neglect, especially from their own family members. It happens more than you'd think, so much more. Adult children pressuring parents to sign over property, draining bank accounts, isolating elderly parents from friends, using power of attorney to steal, outright physical abuse. The stories on their website made me cry. But they also made me grateful. My situation wasn't that bad. Nicole was just selfish, materialistic, not evil. Or so I thought at the time. I started donating to them, small amounts, $50 a month. It felt good, like I was helping protect people who couldn't protect themselves. Then came my week at Nicole's house. The overheard evening conversation. The realization that my daughter saw me as nothing but a future payday. And I thought, I could give Golden Years $50 a month, or I could give them everything. When I told Mr. Chen about the foundation, his face lit up. Helen, I serve on their board. They do incredible work. Last year alone, they helped over 3,000 elderly people escape exploitative situations. What kind of situations? Everything. Financial abuse, forced isolation, being pressured into signing legal documents they don't understand, being made to feel incompetent or burdensome, he paused, being treated exactly the way Nicole treated you. That hit hard. Your estate could fund their work for years, he continued. They could hire more legal advocates, run more educational programs, help more people. That's what I want. I want my money to matter. It will, more than you know. So that's where it went, all of it. My house, sold, with proceeds going to the foundation. My investments, liquidated, donated. Everything except Nicole's $5,000. $2 million to protect people who nobody else was protecting. After I died, the foundation director called Nicole. Mr. Chen told me this would happen, part of the process. They always contacted the families, tried to build bridges. Mrs. Nicole Henderson, the director asked. This is Margaret Chen from the Golden Years Foundation. I'm calling about your mother, Helen Morrison. What about her? Nicole's voice was cold. Your mother left her estate to our organization. We wanted to thank you for supporting her decision. It's rare for families to... Supporting? I didn't support anything. She cut me out of her will and gave everything to strangers. I see. I'm sorry, I thought you knew. Of course I knew. The lawyer rubbed it in my face. $2 million to your charity, $5,000 to me. That's what I got. $5,000 for being her daughter for 43 years. Margaret was quiet for a moment. May I ask what happened between you? Nothing happened. She just lost her mind. Decided to punish me for… Nicole stopped. For what? Silence. Mrs. Henderson, I've worked with elderly people for 20 years. In my experience, when someone makes a decision like your mother's, there's always a reason. Well, if you figure it out, let me know, because I have no idea what I did to deserve this. She hung up. Margaret called Mr. Chen. He told me later that she'd been disturbed by the conversation. Nicole genuinely doesn't understand, Margaret said. She really doesn't see what she did wrong. That's the problem, Mr. Chen replied. People like Nicole don't see elderly relatives as full human beings. They see them as obligations, burdens, future inheritances. The disrespect is so normalized, they don't even recognize it as disrespect. Should I try to talk to her again? I don't think it would help. Some people only learn through consequences. Helen understood that. That's why she made this choice. But Margaret tried anyway. Sent Nicole a letter explaining what the foundation does, how they help people exactly like Helen, people whose families treat them as less than human simply because they're old. Nicole never responded. Gary did, though. He sent an angry email threatening to sue the foundation for manipulating an elderly woman. Margaret forwarded it to Mr. Chen. He responded professionally. Mr. Henderson, Helen Morrison was evaluated by a licensed physician and found to be of full cognitive capacity. She made her decision freely and without any input from our organization. We didn't even know about the bequest until after her death. If you'd like to discuss this further, please contact my office. Otherwise, please cease all hostile communication. Gary never wrote back. The foundation held a small ceremony to honor Helen. They do this for major donors. Plant a tree, place a plaque, recognize the person's generosity. They invited Nicole, as a courtesy, a chance to see the good her mother's money would do. She didn't come, but I wish she had. I wish she could have seen what I saw when I visited the foundation before I died. I'd gone in person, met with Margaret, toured their facilities, saw the work they were doing. There was a legal clinic where volunteer lawyers helped elderly people escape financial abuse. A hotline staffed 24/7 for people in crisis. Educational programs teaching seniors about their rights. Support groups for people recovering from family exploitation. And there were the people they'd helped. Dozens of them. Elderly men and women who'd been dismissed, exploited, made to feel worthless until the foundation intervened. I met a woman named Dorothy, 79 years old. Her son had stolen her identity, taken out credit cards in her name, maxed them out, left her with $40,000 in debt she couldn't pay. The foundation's lawyers helped her, got the charges reversed, got her son prosecuted, helped her rebuild her credit and her life. I thought I was done, Dorothy told me, thought my life was over. But this place, they showed me I still mattered, that I still had rights, that I wasn't just a resource for my son to exploit. I met a man named Robert, 81. His daughter had pressured him into signing power of attorney. Then she'd sold his house without his permission, moved him into a nursing home, took all his money. The foundation helped him get a lawyer, got the sale reversed, got his daughter's power of attorney revoked. He was back in his own home now, living independently. They gave me my dignity back, he said simply. That's when I knew. My money wasn't just going to a charity, it was going to save people, protect people, give them back the dignity their own families had stolen. That was worth more than any inheritance Nicole could have received. Because Nicole would have used that money to buy things, pay off debt, maybe go on vacation. But the foundation, they would use it to change lives, to prove that elderly people matter, that respect isn't optional, that dignity doesn't expire with age. That's the legacy I wanted to leave. Not a house, not investments, not money, but proof that I valued people over property, that I chose purpose over blood relation, that even in death, I was standing up for people who couldn't stand up for themselves. 3 months after the will reading, Nicole was still trying to process what had happened. She'd gone through the stages: shock, denial, anger, bargaining. But she couldn't seem to reach acceptance. She'd contacted 5 different lawyers. All of them told her the same thing. The will was ironclad. She had no case. Fighting it would only drain what little money she had left. Because Nicole and Gary had debt. Lots of it. They'd been living beyond their means for years, confident that Helen's inheritance would eventually bail them out. That bailout was never coming. Their credit cards were maxed. Their house was mortgaged to the hilt. Gary's job was shaky. Cutbacks were coming. They needed money, desperately. And they'd been counting on $2 million that was now feeding hungry seniors and providing legal aid to abused elderly people. Nicole told me later, well, she told someone who told Mr. Chen, who told me before I died, that she couldn't understand. "I don't get it," she said to her friend Marissa. "What did I do that was so terrible? So I wasn't the perfect daughter. So what? Lots of people aren't close with their parents. That doesn't mean you get disinherited." Marissa, to her credit, was honest. "Nick, I was there that week your mom visited. Remember? I came over for drinks." "Yeah." "I saw how you treated her. It was harsh." "Harsh? I just had normal boundaries. You told her she dressed like she was from the 80s. In front of me." "She did." "She's 75, Nicole. She can dress however she wants." "I was trying to help her look better." "You were embarrassed by her. I could see it on your face every time she spoke. You treated her like she was an inconvenience, a burden." "I did not." "You told her she couldn't help with dishes because her hand cream would make everything dirty. Do you know how that sounds? How that must have felt?" Nicole went quiet. "I didn't think it was that bad," she said finally. "Because you didn't see her as a person. You saw her as your old mom who didn't understand modern life. That's not love, Nick. That's contempt." The conversation haunted Nicole, kept her up at night, made her replay every interaction from that week. Had she really been that bad? She started remembering things. Small things she'd dismissed at the time. The way Helen's face had fallen when Nicole criticized her clothes. The way Helen had gone quiet after the hand cream comment. The way Helen had barely spoken during the dinner party with friends. The way Helen had left so suddenly, claiming illness. "I thought she was being overly sensitive," Nicole told Gary. "But what if I really did hurt her?" "She overreacted," Gary said firmly. "Disinheriting you over a few comments? That's insane. She was probably senile." "She wasn't senile. The doctor's report proved that. She knew exactly what she was doing." "Then she was vindictive, mean. What kind of mother punishes her daughter like this? What kind of daughter treats her mother like a burden?" The question sat between them, unanswered. Nicole started having nightmares, dreams where she was old, 75, visiting her own daughter. And her daughter treating her exactly the way she'd treated Helen, criticizing her clothes, sighing at her inability to work modern technology, making her feel stupid and useless and unwelcome. She'd wake up crying. "I didn't mean to hurt her," she told Marissa. I didn't see her as someone who could still be hurt." "That's the problem. You saw elderly mother instead of person with feelings." "I know that now, but it's too late." "Yeah, it is." The guilt was eating Nicole alive. But mixed with the guilt was still anger, still that sense of unfairness. "I'm her daughter," she'd say. "I'm her only child. That should count for something." "It did count," Gary would respond. "It counted for $5,000. Don't. I'm just saying, she didn't forget you. She remembered you. She just decided you weren't worth more than that." The words were cruel, but they were also true. Meanwhile, the Golden Years Foundation was putting Helen's money to work. They hired 2 new lawyers for their legal aid clinic, started a new program helping seniors understand and protect their digital assets, expanded their hotline hours, launched an educational campaign about financial elder abuse. Margaret Chen sent Nicole updates, not to rub it in, genuinely hoping Nicole might find peace in seeing the good her mother's money was doing. Nicole threw the letters away without reading them. She couldn't bear to see what she'd lost, couldn't face the fact that her mother had chosen strangers over her own daughter. But one letter she opened, 6 months after Helen's death. It contained photos from the foundation's new facility, a community center for elderly people who'd been isolated by their families, a place where they could gather, socialize, access resources. There was a dedication plaque, the Helen Morrison Community Center, in memory of a woman who understood that dignity and respect don't expire with age. Nicole stared at that plaque for a long time, her mother's name, her mother's legacy, helping people, mattering. And Nicole had nothing, no inheritance, no relationship, just guilt and regret and the knowledge that she'd failed the one person who'd loved her unconditionally. Until she didn't. Until Nicole had pushed her so far, hurt her so deeply, that even unconditional love had its limits. "I'm sorry, Mom," Nicole whispered to the photo. "I'm so sorry." But Helen couldn't hear her. Helen was gone. And some apologies come too late to matter. Some signatures are final, permanent, unchangeable. Nicole was learning that lesson the hard way. The question was, would she learn anything else from it? Or would she spend the rest of her life as the woman who'd been too blind to see her mother's worth until after she was worth $2 million? Time would tell. After Helen died, Mr. Chen found something in her safe deposit box. Letters, dozens of them, addressed to Nicole but never mailed. He debated whether to give them to Nicole. Ultimately decided Helen would have wanted it. These were her true feelings, unfiltered. He sent them to Nicole with a note. "Your mother wrote these over the last 3 months of her life. She never sent them, but I think she wanted you to read them eventually." Nicole opened the package with shaking hands. The first letter was dated 3 days after Helen changed her will. "Dear Nicole, I changed my will today. You'll never read this until after I'm gone, so I can be completely honest. I'm heartbroken. Not just sad, actually heartbroken. Like something inside me shattered and can't be repaired. You're my only child. I carried you for 9 months, nursed you, walked you to your first day of school, held you when you cried, celebrated every achievement, loved you with everything I had. And you see me as a burden, as something to tolerate until you can inherit my money. Do you know what that feels like? To realize your child only values you for what you'll leave behind when you die? I keep replaying that conversation, the one I overheard. You saying you couldn't wait for me to die so you could have my house. Gary talking about moving my money around. You weren't just being impatient. You were planning, strategizing, how to maximize what you'd get from my death. I'm changing my will not to punish you. That's what you'll think, I know. But it's not punishment. It's protection. I'm protecting other people from being treated the way you treated me. I'm protecting my own dignity by choosing how my legacy will be used. You'll hate me for this. I understand. But I hope someday you'll understand why I did it. I hope someday you'll look back on that week and actually see it. Really see it. See the woman you hurt, the mother you dismissed, the person you made feel worthless. Until then, goodbye to the inheritance you thought was yours. Love, Mom. Nicole's hands were shaking. She picked up the second letter, dated a week later. Dear Nicole, you called today, asking about those power of attorney documents again. Your voice was so sweet, so fake. I wanted to scream at you, tell you I knew what you were doing, that I'd heard everything, that I was onto your scheme. But I didn't. I just said no, kept my secret, because I want you to be surprised. I want that moment when Mr. Chen reads my will and you realize you've lost everything. Is that petty? Maybe. But I've earned a little pettiness. After 75 years of being kind, I'm allowed one act of justified revenge. Besides, this isn't about being petty. It's about consequences. You need to learn that actions have consequences, that treating people poorly comes with a price, that love can't be taken for granted. I wish I could teach you that while I'm alive, but you won't listen while I'm here. Maybe you'll listen when I'm gone. Love, Mom. Third letter, dated 2 weeks before Helen died. Dear Nicole, I saw Dr. Williams today. Checkup. She says I'm healthy, could live another 10 years. Part of me is glad. 10 more years of life. But part of me is tired, Nicole. So tired. Not physically tired, emotionally tired. Tired of being seen as less than. Tired of being dismissed. Tired of being valued only for what I own. You've made me feel like a burden for being alive, like I'm inconveniently not dead yet, like I should hurry up and die so you can get what's rightfully yours. Except it's not rightfully yours. It's mine. I earned it. My husband and I worked for it, and I get to decide what happens to it. I've decided it's going to help people who understand that elderly people are still people, who treat us with dignity, who see our worth beyond our bank accounts. I've decided you don't get it, not because I don't love you, but because I love myself more. That's new for me, loving myself more than I love you. It feels strange, but also right. I'm allowed to choose myself, even if it means disappointing you. I'm allowed to have standards, even for my own daughter. I'm allowed to say, this is how I deserve to be treated. And if you can't meet that standard, you don't get the rewards. I hope you understand someday. Love, Mom. Nicole was crying now, deep, wrenching sobs. She kept reading. Fourth letter, dated 3 days before Helen died. Dear Nicole, this might be my last letter. I'm not sick, but I'm 75. Death could come any time. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone, and you've discovered that I left everything to the Golden Years Foundation. You're angry right now. I understand. Maybe you're also confused, hurt, wondering what you did to deserve this. Let me tell you what you did. You made me feel invisible, like I didn't matter unless I was useful to you. You criticized everything about me, my clothes, my interests, my inability to work your fancy appliances. You sighed at me, rolled your eyes, treated me like a burden you were generously tolerating. You talked about me like I was already dead, discussed your plans for my money while I was still alive to hear it. You tried to manipulate me into signing away my financial independence, and through it all, you never once asked, "How are you, Mom? Are you happy? Are you lonely? What do you need?" You never saw me. You saw an inheritance with a pulse. So I made a choice. I chose to let my money help people who do see elderly people, who do value them, who do treat them with dignity. I chose to make my death mean something beyond making you richer. I chose myself, Nicole. Finally, after 75 years of choosing others first, I chose myself. I hope you can forgive me someday, but more importantly, I hope you can look at yourself honestly, really see who you've become. You're not the daughter I raised. You're someone who values money over relationships, comfort over compassion, inheritance over integrity. That's not the legacy I want for you. So I'm leaving you $5,000 and a lesson. People are worth more than their bank accounts. Respect is earned through behavior, not inherited through blood. And love, real love, requires actually seeing the person you claim to love. Learn that lesson, Nicole. Pass it to your children. Break this cycle before it breaks them. That's my final wish for you. Not wealth, wisdom. I love you. I always will. Even now, even after everything, I love you. But I love myself more. Goodbye, sweetheart. Your mother. Nicole finished reading, sat there surrounded by letters, drowning in them, drowning in truth she'd been avoiding. Her mother had seen everything, understood everything, and still chose to walk away. Not out of cruelty, out of self-respect. And Nicole finally understood. She hadn't lost an inheritance. She'd lost her mother. and no amount of money could bring her back. 1 year after Helen's death, Nicole sat in therapy. She'd resisted for months. I don't need therapy. I just need to accept that my mother was cruel. But the nightmares wouldn't stop. The guilt wouldn't ease. And Gary had finally said, either get help or I'm leaving. I can't live with your misery anymore. So here she was, 44 years old, sitting across from Dr. Patricia Reeves, crying about things that couldn't be fixed. Tell me about your mother, Dr. Reeves said. She cut me out of her will, left me $5,000, and gave $2 million to charity. Why? Because I wasn't perfect, because I made mistakes, because she was vindictive. Was she vindictive? Nicole paused. I don't know anymore. Tell me about those mistakes. So Nicole told her everything. The week Helen had visited, the coffee machine, the clothing criticism, the hand cream comment, the overheard conversation. Dr. Reeves listened without judgment. When Nicole finished, she asked a simple question. If someone treated you that way, how would you feel? What? Imagine you're 75. You visit your daughter. She criticizes your clothes, tells you you're making messes, won't let you help because you'll make things dirty. Then you overhear her saying she can't wait for you to die so she can have your house. How would that feel? Nicole opened her mouth, closed it. No words came. Devastating, Dr. Reeves answered for her. It would feel devastating, like the person you loved most in the world saw you as an inconvenience, a burden, a bank account on legs. But I didn't mean what? To hurt her? Then why did you say those things? Do those things? Because, Nicole struggled. Because she was old. She didn't understand modern things. She was frustrating. She was frustrating, or you were impatient? Both? Nicole, I'm going to tell you something that might be hard to hear. You treated your mother with contempt, not occasionally, consistently. You made her feel worthless because she didn't meet your standards of what an acceptable person should be. That's not, you criticized her clothes, her knowledge, her ability to use appliances. You wouldn't let her help with dishes because of hand cream. Hand cream, Nicole. You excluded her from helping because she used lotion on her elderly, dry hands. Nicole started crying. And then you discussed, within her hearing, how you couldn't wait for her to die so you could inherit her money. You literally told your husband you were building goodwill by pretending to care about her. I know. I was terrible. Yes, you were. And your mother responded by protecting herself the only way she could, by removing you from her will. So it's my fault. It's your responsibility. There's a difference. Your mother made her choice, but you created the circumstances that led to that choice. Nicole wiped her eyes. What do I do now? You learn. You change. You make sure you never treat anyone else that way, especially not elderly people, especially not people who love you. That's it? That's all I can do? That's everything you can do. Your mother is gone. You can't apologize to her, can't make amends, can't get a do-over. All you can do is be better going forward. But the money, forget the money. The money was never the point. The point was that you failed to see your mother as a person. You saw her as an old woman who was in your way, and she needed you to understand that elderly people deserve respect, dignity, love that isn't contingent on their usefulness. Nicole nodded slowly. How do I live with this? The guilt. You don't get rid of guilt by trying to forget it. You transform it. Use it as fuel to become someone your mother would have been proud of. Someone who treats elderly people with dignity, who sees their value, who understands that age doesn't diminish personhood. It's too late for my mom. Yes, but it's not too late for everyone else. That conversation changed something in Nicole, not immediately, but slowly. She started volunteering at a senior center, just one afternoon a week, helping elderly people with technology, running errands, providing companionship. She met a woman named Beatrice, 81, reminded her of Helen, same generation, same sharp wit hidden under old-fashioned clothes. "My son never visits," Beatrice said one day. "Says he's too busy. But I know the truth. He's embarrassed by me. Thinks I'm past my expiration date." "You're not," Nicole said. "You matter. Your life matters." "Tell that to my son." "I would if I could, but he needs to figure it out himself, before it's too late." Beatrice looked at her curiously. "You sound like you're speaking from experience." "I am. I treated my mother the way your son treats you. She cut me out of her will because of it." "Good for her." Nicole laughed, a real laugh. "Yeah, good for her." She started reading Helen's letters regularly, not to torture herself, but to remember, to keep the lesson fresh, to make sure she never forgot what happened when you treat people as less than human. Gary noticed the change. "You're different," he said one night. "Better or worse?" "Better. Sadder, but better. I'm learning what Mom tried to teach me. Just took me a year and $2 million in inheritance to figure it out." "Do you still resent her?" Nicole thought about it, really thought. "No, I understand now. She wasn't punishing me, she was protecting herself. And teaching me. It's the best gift she could have given me, even if it came wrapped in pain." 2 years after Helen's death, the Golden Years Foundation held a fundraising gala. Nicole attended. Margaret Chen was surprised to see her. "Mrs. Henderson, I didn't expect. I wanted to see what my mother's money is doing. Is that okay?" "Of course." Nicole spent the evening meeting people the foundation had helped. Elderly people who'd been exploited, abused, neglected. People who'd been given dignity back through legal aid, advocacy, support. People like her mother. At the end of the night, Margaret approached her. "What did you think?" "I think my mother was right. This is better than giving it to me. I would have wasted it. Here, it's changing lives." "That means a lot to hear." "Can I?" Nicole hesitated. "Can I donate? Add to what she gave?" "You want to donate?" "Not money, I don't have much, but time, skills. I work in event planning. I could help with fundraising, marketing, whatever you need." Margaret smiled. "Your mother would have liked that." "I hope so. It's too late to tell her, but maybe it's not too late to honor what she tried to teach me." Nicole became a regular volunteer, then a board member, then a passionate advocate for elderly rights. She'd never get her inheritance back. She'd never get her mother back. But she'd gotten something more valuable. She'd learned the lesson. The one Helen had signed her name to in that final will. The one that said, "People matter more than money. Respect is required, not optional. And dignity doesn't have an expiration date." It took Nicole 2 years and $2 million to learn it, but she learned it, finally. 5 years after Helen's death, Nicole stood at the dedication ceremony for the foundation's new legal aid clinic. "The Helen Morrison Legal Advocacy Center," the sign read. Nicole had raised the money for it herself, spent 2 years planning galas, courting donors, telling her mother's story over and over until people understood why this mattered. She'd raised $500,000, combined with Helen's original $2 million, which had grown with smart investments. The foundation now had resources to help thousands of elderly people every year. "I want to say a few words," Nicole told Margaret before the ceremony started. "Are you sure you're ready?" "I've been ready for 5 years. I just needed to become someone worthy of telling this story." She stepped to the microphone, looked at the crowd, donors, volunteers, elderly people the foundation had helped, local politicians, press, and she told the truth. "My name is Nicole Henderson, and 5 years ago, my mother cut me out of her will." The crowd went silent. "She left me $5,000, and she left $2 million to this foundation. When I first found out, I was furious. I felt betrayed, cheated. I thought my mother was cruel and vindictive. But my mother wasn't cruel. She was desperate. You see, I had spent years treating her like she was less than human. I criticized her clothes, her knowledge, her inability to use modern technology. I made her feel stupid, outdated, worthless. And then I made the mistake of letting her overhear me talking to my husband about how I couldn't wait for her to die so I could inherit her house. My mother was 75 years old. She had raised me, loved me, supported me my entire life, and I reduced her to a bank account, a future inheritance, an inconvenience I was tolerating until she finally died. So she made a choice. She chose to give her money to people who would use it to help others like her, others who'd been dismissed, exploited, made to feel like burdens by their own families. She chose dignity over blood relation, purpose over inheritance, legacy over tradition. And she was right to do it. Nicole's voice broke. She took a breath, continued. I spent the first year after her death being angry, the second year being guilty, the third year learning, the fourth year changing, and this year, the fifth year, finally becoming someone my mother might have been proud of. I can't give her back the respect I should have shown her while she was alive. I can't apologize, can't make amends, can't take back a single word or gesture that hurt her. But I can honor her legacy. I can help build something that protects other elderly people from being treated the way I treated her. I can raise money, volunteer time, tell my story so others might learn before it's too late. This clinic is opening today because my mother had the courage to say, enough. Enough being treated as less than. Enough being valued only for what I own. Enough sacrificing my dignity for people who don't appreciate it. She signed that final will knowing it would hurt me, knowing I'd be angry, knowing it might destroy whatever was left of our relationship. But she signed it anyway, because some lessons can only be learned through consequences. Some signatures are more important than keeping peace. My mother's final signature taught me that people, especially elderly people, deserve to be treated with dignity, always. Not because they might leave you an inheritance, not because they're useful, but because they're human beings with feelings and worth and value that doesn't diminish with age. I wish I'd learned that lesson before she died, but I didn't, so I'm learning it now, and I'm spending the rest of my life teaching it to others. That's my mother's legacy. Not $2 million, but a lesson about respect, about dignity, about seeing people, really seeing them, before it's too late. Thank you, Mom, for loving me enough to teach me even when it cost you everything, even when it meant I'd hate you for a while, even when it meant signing your name to a document that would change both our lives forever. Your final signature mattered more than you knew. It's still changing lives, still teaching lessons, still reminding people that dignity has value beyond money. I hope wherever you are, you know that I finally understand. I finally see what you were trying to show me, and I promise I'll spend the rest of my life making sure your signature meant something. The crowd was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then everyone. Nicole stepped away from the microphone. Margaret hugged her. Your mother would be so proud, Margaret whispered. I hope so. It took me too long, but I got there. After the ceremony, an elderly woman approached Nicole. She looked to be in her 70s, dressed simply, elegant. Thank you for sharing your story, she said. Thank you for listening. I have a daughter. She treats me much like you treated your mother. I've been thinking about changing my will. Today, you helped me decide. Nicole felt a pang. I hope your daughter learns faster than I did. So do I, but either way, I'm not waiting around to find out. Your mother was brave. I can be brave too. She walked away. Nicole watched her go and thought, Mom's still teaching lessons, still changing lives. 5 years later, her final signature is still rippling out, creating change. That evening, Nicole visited Helen's grave for the first time in 2 years. She'd come regularly at first, then stopped. It felt performative, guilty. But tonight felt different. She sat on the grass next to the headstone. Hey, Mom, we opened your clinic today. It's beautiful. It's going to help so many people. I told them everything about how awful I was to you, about how right you were to cut me out of the will. about how your final signature taught me the most important lesson of my life. I'm sorry it took me so long to learn it. I'm sorry I didn't learn it while you were still alive. I'm sorry for every moment I made you feel less than, small, worthless. But I learned, Mom, finally, and I'm using that lesson to do good in the world. That's all I can do now. Make your final choice mean something. Make your signature count for something bigger than money. I love you. I always did, even when I was too blind to show it properly. And I understand now. You loved me too. Loved me enough to let me hate you if it meant teaching me something I needed to learn. That's real love, isn't it? The kind that chooses truth over comfort, lessons over inheritance, legacy over tradition. Thank you for loving me that much. Thank you for your final signature. It changed my life, Mom. It saved me. Nicole stood up, touched the headstone, walked away. She had work to do, people to help, lessons to teach. All because Helen Morrison had signed her name one final time, had chosen dignity over dollars, purpose over peace, legacy over blood, had proven that sometimes the most loving thing a mother can do is let her daughter face consequences, even if those consequences cost $2 million, even if that signature hurt, even if love looked like loss. Because real love teaches, real love transforms, real love leaves legacies that matter. Helen's final signature was still teaching, still transforming, still mattering, and it always would. If you take anything from Helen's story, let it be this. Treat every person, especially elderly people, with dignity and respect, not because of what they can give you, not because of what they might leave you, but because they're human beings whose worth doesn't diminish with age. Your actions have consequences. Your words leave marks. Your treatment of others, especially those who love you, defines your character more than any inheritance ever could. Don't wait until it's too late to show respect. Don't let the final signature be the one that cuts you out. Love people while they're alive. Honor them while they're here. See them before they're gone. Because some lessons cost everything to learn. Some signatures can't be unsigned. And some chances don't come twice. Treat people well. You never know when their final signature might be about you.